Email. Email. It's time to check email. Can I get a Dear Cpink? How come you has that Coachy icon on your video website, despite the fact you have never once uploaded a Homestar or a runner on said video website? Furthermore, is that you in the costume? From your friend, dearest, and ever nearest, Robert. Well, $99 Bert, the answer to your not at all made up email is quite simple. The button that goes, deleted! Okay, well, that wasn't at all the email I was hoping for. If it were asking something along the lines of, Dear Cpink, if you love Homestar Runner so much, why don't you review that one weird game it had that Scott the Woz briefly mentioned that one time? So, well, let's just pretend that was the question I got, and I'll just segue on over to my usual setup. So yeah, I really love Homestar Runner, and I want to finally talk about it. But since this is also a channel that does video games based on cartoon reviews, and also sometimes mashup albums and YouTube poops, I gotta fit it into that too. So, when worlds collide, I'll finally bring in some Homestar Runner content with my review of Strong Bad's cool game for attractive people. But you can play too! Sorry, I just felt the need to say that. So, what is Homestar Runner anyhow? I'm sure that just anyone who clicked on this video and sat through that very Strong Bad email-inspired intro would probably already know, but I guess it is standard to briefly mention its history. HomestarRunner.com is a website created by Mike and Matt Chapman that first went up in the year 2000, publishing flash animations of these wacky characters, starring Homestar Runner, the terrific athlete, his buddy Pom Pom, the bubbly balloon person, and he'd compete in contests against the evil Strong Bad in his Cheating the Cheat.
Is everything
He also had a girlfriend, Marzipan, and Strong Bad had two brothers, Strong Mad and Strong Sad. You could guess their personalities by their name alone. There was also Coach Z, the coach of all Homestar Runner sports, Bubs, who loved to dance and had a concession stand, the king of town, who loved food, and the king's very own Poopsmith. Eventually, the simple children's storybook style of the show would develop into its own identity, with a cartoon segment skyrocketing popularity over the course of a few years, Strong Bad Emails. People could send Strong Bad an email, and then he'd answer it and do silly little sketches, sometimes as flashbacks or hypothetical fantasies. The characters would mainly develop through these emails, such as Homestar continuously becoming more dim-witted, Strong Bad becoming an egotist with a love for the lady types and masculinity, Coach Z becoming a weird and borderline creepy old man, and Buzz becoming the con artist he is today. Loads of characters, locations, and tons of other world-building elements would spawn from these email segments. And it was just amazing getting to see more and more elements added to the world of HomestarRunner.com. Literally an email where someone misspelled Homestar's name as Homsar spawned a fan-favorite character, who is practically the embodiment of random early 2000s humor.
Don't look now! I'm just a friendly reminder!
So yeah, it's a heavily character-driven cartoon, and it was all completely independent, not network-driven or on TV like all my other cartoon-based video game reviews. Nope, this game is based on an indie cartoon, and that's super cool. There are tons of small games on the site, but this game here, Strong Bad's cool game for attractive people, is their biggest release, all thanks to the now-defunct Telltale Games. Yeah, remember Telltale Games before they tried making all their adventure games like their super successful Walking Dead series? No big segments of just walking, no this character will remember that, just simple point-and-click adventure fun. Picking up items, solving weird and convoluted problems like pointing and clicking on people with items, going through branches of dialogue. These games are always easy to just immediately get into. Telltale started out with Bones, CSI, and Sam & Max point-and-click games until they picked up Homestar Runner universe with Strong Bad's cool game for attractive people. So, without going in further about Telltale, let's just get into Strong Bad something for something or other, released as WiiWare, PC, and even the PlayStation 3. This game got pretty good reviews whilst being released. Not as highly praised as the Sam & Max games Telltale put out, but it had better reviews than the Wallace and Gromit and Back to the Future games, so at least I can say it's one of the Telltale's better early releases. Playing as the popular Strong Bad, well, popular in fandom, not at all popular in universe, you can answer emails, play Videlectrix games, and make fun of pretty much anyone you come across. You can explore all the small environments established in the show as you try to solve a problem that Strong Bad's facing during the particular episode you're playing. Two tremendous things this game pulls off is the art style and humor perfectly capturing the show. Somehow every single character model looks exactly how you'd imagine these characters would look in a 3D environment, and that's saying something when it comes to even the more strange designs like Bubs or Homestar himself. With the brothers chaps on board for writing for the game, every interaction also feels like just what the characters would say back on their old website. This is pretty much the perfect game for a Homestar Runner fan, who also is into point-and-click adventure games, because I'm aware those aren't for everyone. That's two niches you have to fall under to be a huge fan of this game as I may be. As Telltale Games was known for with the vast majority of their titles, Strong Bad's cool game for attractive people was released episodically over the course of 5 months, with 5 episodes each containing different stories, locations, and spins on the format. I mean, wow, releasing content for a game monthly rather than releasing everything all at once? That sounds like an ingenious business strategy. I hope more companies in the future use this.
And then I come in to save the day!
There's episode 1, Homestar Runner, a simple setup of Strong Bad wanting to beat the snot out of Homestar, only to go far enough to ruin his life in the process. Episode 2, Strong Baddie of the Free, sees the entire cast seceding from the King of Town's rule and forming their own countries, with Strong Bad wanting to unite all the nations to form an army to take down the King of Town. In episode 3, the baddest of the bands, Strong Bad's fun machine breaks in the middle of him playing a limousine game and needs to pay for the repairs. He gets the wise idea to create a Battle of the Bands type of contest, and needs to recruit bands from throughout free country to do so. Episode 4 is the long-awaited Dangeresque 3, The Criminal Projective, where you can play as Strong Bad as Dangeresque, playing through the entire movie in this role. Finally, episode 5, titled 8-Bit is Enough, sees the video game world merge with the real world, meaning Trogdor appears in reality. If you're a fan of the video games featured on HomestarRunner.com, then you're in for a treat with this one. Okay. Enough with all these introductory statements, let's get those meat and potatoes by starting out with episode 1, Homestar Runner. Just like on HomestarRunner.com, you get silly little animations for hovering over each button on the main menu. Neat! This game's already got the charm of the website nailed down within the first 5 seconds of opening it. But with the actual opening of the episode, we get an opening song with Strong Bad singing about his style being a common point of interest within the Homestar cartoons, before going all the way upstairs to check his email, in usual fashion. This one's asking if Strong Bad could beat the snot out of Homestar, so that should probably be the first thing you should go ahead and do. Except no, this is a point-and-click game. There's so much you gotta do around the House of Strong, like flipping the rave switch, talking to Strong Sad, drawing up some Teen Girl Squad comics, all the standard requirements in all of your point and or clicking video games. You see, with Strong Bad's cool game thing, there's so much pointless exploration and dialogue trees you gotta do in order to get 100% with its achievements. There's so many strange requirements for all 5 episodes, like having to find methods of affection and baddest of the bands, or collecting random Dangeresque merch in Dangeresque 3. This first episode has you needing to trim hedges, make Strong Sad appear in different scenes to add in some dialogue, make aggressive remarks towards other people, and just random exploration stuff. This is the only episode to actually reward you 3D modeled trophies for completing these achievements. I'd also have to say it's the easiest episode to 100%, as the rest have much more hidden requirements, with the vast majority of the requirements being locked behind specific parts of an episode. Meaning if you miss it, you're gonna have to restart the whole episode over, since you can't just use extended play to find the rest. Another thing that's required for 100% in every episode is reaching a high score on that episode's Videlectrix title. The game for Homestar Runner is Snake Boxer 5, which requires you to go through 15 rounds to meet the requirement. You also can collect pages to the Snake Boxer 5 manual throughout the episode, which grants you the secret code to become a snake yourself. A fire-breathing snake at that. Makes the game a whole lot easier, but man is it tedious to even get through. Took me 10 minutes to reach that score. Let me tell you, as fun as it sounds to play a video game inside a video game, the high scores they set for these games just feel way too dang high. Oh yeah, there's also this metal detector that's also used throughout these episodes. Man, there's a lot to explain in terms of collectibles and achievements, but basically this is used to dig up Teen Girl Squad ideas and pages to the Snake Boxer 5 manual. Items that aren't metal whatsoever. You can also find costume items hidden throughout the world, which you can then wear within Strong Bad's pan-dimensional photo booth, which was never in the show, might I add. You can only wear these costume parts in extended play though, which is kind of a letdown. Now, onto actually continuing the story. You make your way to the track with plans to beat that snot all out of Homestar. But wait! He mentions there's a Free Country USA triannual race to the end of the race going on, and an after party, neither of which Strong Bad was aware of beforehand. You unfortunately can't get into the race to win a sweet trophy, and you can't get invited to the party that Marzipan's hosting. This clearly would make Strong Bad pretty PO'd, so you'll have to construct a plan to take matters into your own hands. Boxing gloves. By stealing Homestar's clothes, wearing a mask of his own face, and competing in the race yourself. Of course, it should go without mentioning that a lot of steps within this game require a lot of the pointing and clicking variety of actions, and sometimes that's pretty convoluted. To get Homestar's clothes, you gotta make him rub onions on himself for him to take a shower, and that means he's gonna leave the locker room completely naked, showing his pixelated nude self to onlookers standing around the field. Getting the Homestar head, though, is more complicated. You gotta get to Marzipan's house, ask about this ugly head she has in her backyard for her to mention her shears, grab them from Bubs' concession stand, and by the way, the shears are now a chainsaw, call Marzipan to go over to the field using Homestar's phone that you happened to pick up from earlier, go back to Marzipan's house to chop off the Homestar float's head, and watch as Marzipan gets furious at you, thinking you're Homestar and you ruined her backyard party. Yeah, that was a lot of steps. These kind of games are like that, and no way am I gonna explain details like that again. Anyways, once you have the full Homestar Runner costume, you can compete as him in the Free Country USA Triannual Race to the end of the race. And promptly lose to Pom Pom since you're so terrible at it. So now Homestar has been seen nude by a government official, or, well, if the King of Town is in any way official, had his girlfriend break up with him, and is now embarrassed himself by losing the Free Country USA Triannual blah blah blah. Yep, you have successfully ruined our dear Homestar Runner, but at least the episode's all over. Except it isn't, because now Homestar's crashing at your place now that he's a certified criminal/loser/girlfriendless jerk, and you've got to find a way to get him out of your home. He's in your basement, in your room, in the kitchen, and it's completely unexplained how he's in all these places at once, but it's kind of a thing Homestar can just do. First, you gotta get Homestar's criminal record out of the King of Town's Hall of Records, dodging being caught by the Poopsmith and Strongmad, who is just guarding the record for whatever reason. Then you gotta get Marzipan to fall in love with Homestar again, which requires you to get some chocolate-covered organic packing peanuts and put it by her doorstep, whilst also preventing the King of Town from stopping by to eat them. Finally, you'll have to delete the race footage for the whole thing to be done again, and you'll need to rig the whole thing so you can at least beat Coach G's old time from back in the old days. It's impossible to beat Pom Pom, but by pouring some total load body enhancement powder in his locker, you'll be able to get him disqualified, making Homestar the winner. So now that Homestar finally has everything he needed, things are finally over. Except they're not. Now everybody is doing the party in Strongbad's kitchen, much to his dismay. There's a fun part where you can change the boombox's music to see everyone's mood change, such as Coach G admitting to the empty void within his soul, or Coach C wanting to dance with his sweetheart Bubs, or Coach C dropping some fat beats. I mainly care about the Coach C interactions if that wasn't clear.
That was the most fun I've had in years! Oh wait, that was the most fun I've had in years!
Once you set the boombox to some fun music, everyone starts doing a conga line, which you can then ruin by setting a banana peel in front of the window. And hey, Homestar Snot was somehow beat out after the fact. That's a win. I mean, that's a wrap. Homestar Ruiner. It's very standard Homestar Runner / Strongbad shenaniganizing, and doesn't quite make use of the whole cast, leaving out the Cheat, Strongsad, and Homestar, outside of very small appearances. But the next episode, Strong Baddie of the Free, is one that fixes that issue, and it takes a unique spin with each member of the cast. This episode begins with Strongbad having to face the King of Town's new outrageous email tax, placing Strongbad under house arrest for his tax evasion. Somehow there's already a protest mob outside your window, defending your rights and wanting to burn an effigy of the King of Town. But the effigy just looks like a ball and a stick as of now. After collecting some items to make it actually look like the KOT, then their burning blows up the house arrest head-exploding door sensor things, don't ask. With his newfound freedom and somehow even greater hatred for the King of Town, Strongbad dubs the of Town from now on, seceding into his own country, Strongbadia. And so does pretty much every other character, even your pal the Cheat. So now you're gonna have to find ways to have every other nation join your nation, starting with the Cheat Antirea, which is not a name I would ever wish to repeat henceforth. You have to prove your friendship to the Cheat by awarding him a medal, which can easily be found in a box outside the House of Strong. So yeah, that was easy to get out of the way. The Cheat awards you with Strongbad's iconic BMW lighter. Oh, wait. It's just an unbranded lighter. I really thought German manufacturing company BMW would agree to a partnership with Telltale Games and Brothers Chap. What a shame. But anyways, this lighter will help you with your next country to destroy. I mean, have join your ranks. Strongsad's finally found a position of power in his life, and has turned the House of Strong into his own country, Bleak House, and even has the documents to prove it. The solution? Burn it. Burn it all. The sad, dumpy, elephant-footed boy will have no choice but to join your country, and also be your cultural advisor. Well, that part was his choice. I should also mention what special collectibles and achievements this episode has. Now that we've gotten to the lighter, we can now set tons of stuff on fire, which is apparently an achievement you need to 100% the episode. Just, setting things on fire with this no-name brand lighter. There's also names you have to call strong sad, for whatever reason. A lot of them are locked behind weird stuff, like clicking the pillow on him, or the LARPing sword, or the pilot wings medal that you're supposed to give to the cheat, or the tuning fork, or yeah, a lot of these things you aren't going to find without a guide. You can also collect souvenir flags for the various countries through pointless clicking. The Vidalectrus game for this episode is Algebros, which has you doing addition and subtraction to complete math problems. It's funny because games like this exist. Anyways, back to our story's story. The next country we'll be looking to take under our strong baddie and wings is Pomerania. See, like, Pomerania? Yeah, so this is Club Techno Chocolate, where Pom rules as its shogun, which is like Japan, not Pomerania. But it's pretty simple to get all these pieces to have Pom join Strong Baddie. Just do a dance with a glowy drink, aided by a glow stick, and presto, he instantly wants to join you. It should also be worth mentioning that Bubs is here, who also has his own neutral territory, Concession Stand Tenople, which helps out with getting you an item required for the next country. Which honestly feels like it might be hard for me to explain. So, Homestar. He's got his own country too, and it's nice being able to interact with him for an episode since he doesn't really do too much for the rest of the game's episodes. But their choice for theming his country? He lives in the Homestar Reservation, like a Native American reservation site. And you have to collect these artifacts hidden throughout the map with your metal detector. One artifact requiring you to trade Strongsad's Pretendix with Bubs in the black market. It's best if you don't ask. And dropping said artifacts in a hole causes you to understand Homestar. But he's also got a stereotypical Native American accent.
We will join Strong Baddie, first for some sandwiches, then to die side by side in battle.
And talks about his people, despite the fact he's the only Homestar there and ever was. It's all confusing and slightly racist, completely non-canon. I assume it's more absurdist humor than making race-related jokes. It's like the only big thing I knocked down for this episode, and Homestar media in general. I don't know, it's better if I acknowledge how it's really unfitting, as the show and the game otherwise would never do something like making the character that makes no sense into a Native American stereotype. That's all I'll throw in on the matter, though, because moving past that, we've now got Homestar on our team. With that, we're now taking to Homesapan, or Marsistar. They haven't really decided which name to use for their country yet, but Homestar and Marzipan are gathering everyone to create their own United Nations. Though Marzipan may claim it to be a hostile territory, Marsistar is still against war. Though Homestar can be easily persuaded into drafting together the Homestarmy. Unfortunately though, the Model UN that's attached to it is rigging the draft wheel, and you'll still need more men to join the army anyhow. So, off to the last country you need to join Strong Baddie, which is a country. Yeah, Strong Matt couldn't think of anything better. To get Strong Matt to join the United Nations, you must do some live-action role-playing with him and his giant tarantula standee. Once the monster is defeated through some skull-burninating and head-chop-offing, you now have almost everyone you need to declare war. Strong Matt also gives you Tony Stoney, which is the key to rigging the draft wheel to your favor. Which can also lead to some funny choices, like having the wheel land on the unfortunate little brother.
Little brother! Oh, little brother! Why? Why is the world so hard on all the little one-legged creatures?
Put me in the front line, Sarge. I'm gonna be a 4-star general someday.
But for reals, you want to land on Coach Z. For some reason you don't even get to visit Coach Nia, but I guess we've already visited enough countries to get this far, so I understand it would have been excessive. Once you have everyone assembled, you may now begin your attack on the of town and take his throne, and that was over quick. Turns out we jump cut to a week later to see Strong Bad bored out of his mind after taking the role of the king from the of town. So, what are you gonna do about it? Well, we're gonna send a text over to the of town, so he'll declare war on you. This initiates the Maps and Minions game, which is a little strategy minigame where you have to get the of town back to the castle, where there's also all these tiny little things that get in the way of that. There's only 3 characters you have to avoid, Homestar, Strong Mad, and Strong Sad, but they all immediately will send the Of-Town to retreat if they land on his space. Homestar is always going to try and follow the Of-Town. That is unless you put the Of-Town in the Poopsmith's Wall of Stink, which the Poopsmith leaves behind whenever he moves. None of your pieces can defeat anyone else, but Homestar can cause Strong Sad to draw, and the cheat is vital to draw with Strong Mad, who is guarding the last space. Coach Z is sorta useless here, though he's a good distraction for Homestar whenever you have the Of-Town and the Wall of Stink. Quick little mention, I somehow soft-locked this minigame, which meant I had to close the game and start back to the last autosave, which sucked since I needed to regain all my collectibles up to that point. The maps and minions part is also pretty hard without some sort of guidance. There's a lot of things you have to take into consideration in order to get all your pieces around the other characters. Anyways, now that that's all done, the Of-Town is once again the King of Town, and he also drops the email tax due to Strong Bad's impeccable persuasion. And that's about it for Strong Baddie of the Free. It is the only episode to feature the entire main cast, and I do love the concept of every character having their own countries. I'd have to say it's better than Homestar Runner by a significant margin, and I guess I'm gonna rank these episodes from now on. So, right now we got Strong Baddie the Free at number 1, and Homestar Runner in spot number 2. On to discussing episode 3, we have the baddest of the bands. By the way, for some reason my recording software broke after I was nearly done with this episode and lost the footage, so I'm using someone else's footage. So either it's in lower or higher quality. I can't tell because I record this stuff before editing the video, obviously. You know how every cartoon has a Battle of the Bands episode? Or even a whole movie dedicated to that? Well, the Homestar Runner universe has a game for that trope instead. This episode starts us right at the Videlectrus game, Limousine's Hot Babelian Odyssey. It's basically Defender, where you gotta save the tiny pixelated people from evil aliens, except you're also beaming up hot Babelians while you're at it. However, the game gets corrupted almost instantly, so you'll have to take the fun box down to Bubs to get it fixed up. Unfortunately for Strong Bad, he doesn't have a big stack of cash. You're gonna have to devise a scheme to earn one. So how about putting together a Battle of the Bands? All you need is to trick some poor sap into being security, getting celebrity guest judges, and getting 3 bands together to perform. The poor sap for security is easy. All you need to do is trick Strong Sad into believing security is some hip indie band, which leads him to wearing the security jacket. The celebrity guest judges require a bit more, with you having to enter an album art contest to have Limousine themselves spend a day with the winner. Putting together a bunch of stuff like Poop Donkus, a flaming car, an exploding star, and Hot Blonde holding a sword. Well, a blonde holding a sword. You get all the elements together to win the contest, and get Limousine on board to judge your Battle of the Bands. Then getting 3 bands? Well, there's Cool Tapes, consisting of Marzipan, The Cheat, and Strong Mad, but they're already booked for some performance to raise awareness for the endangered albino bat. So Strong Bad just bleaches Strong Sad's bat hutch in a washing machine and then releases them in Marzipan's house to prove they're not endangered. It's ridiculous, but ridiculousness is just how things work around here. Next there's Pom Pom, who's looking for a lead singer in his band of smooth techno romance type music. Homestar's looking to audition, so you just gotta help him rhyme words for the 2 friends to form Pomstar. That's 2 bands, now you just need a 3rd. Looks like your only other option is to reform the 2-0 duo, Bubs and Coach Z's former hip-hop band. Coach Z is currently, being somehow creepier than usual, and is stamping his emblem on a bunch of rolls of toilet paper. And he's also obsessing over Marzipan, which we all know is unhealthy because he's clearly a better match for Bubs. You really gotta get these 2 together, so you'll have to draw inspiration from the songs in the 2-0 duo's debut album. Get Coach Z to throw rocks at Marzipan's house, deface the stick with his toilet paper, and steal Bubs' siren thing and put it in Coach Z's office. A lot of these steps are convoluted and confusing, though I could see them being done without a guide, just requires a lot of thinking. Now we've got our 3 bands, we can finally start the Battle of the Bands. Firstly, Bubs has to take into account all the costs, taxes, the sum that he's taking behind his back, and it looks like you're only getting half a big sack of cash, despite all your hard work. Looks like you're gonna need to win the Battle of the Bands to get the money needed for your fun machine. You're gonna need a band though, so all that's left is Homestar and the King of Town. What about the Poopsmith? He can sing, he's voiced by John Linnell. Actually, I guess that's probably why he's not here. As you'd guess, a band composed of Strong Bad, Homestar, and the King of Town kinda sucks hard balls. And I'm referring to shot put balls this time around. Looks like you'll have to sabotage all the other bands then. It also looks like Limousine didn't bother to show up and only hooked up speakers and a microphone to a standee instead. It's almost like they didn't want to model realistic humans in this game or something. On to sabotaging. Firstly, Homestar has Homestar using headphones to relay information to sing on stage. Change his signal over to the Blubbo's drive-through whale, and he'll start spouting nonsense. Oh, also Coach C is here, swooning like a lady and wanting to marry Homestar. Seriously, he's a bisexual icon. Next, the 2-0 duo is reliant on Coach C's dance moves. So by manipulating his choreography of the 7 inches that Bubs is playing, you can get Coach C to dance on over to his co-star and beat the crap out of him, splitting the band up. For the 3rd time this week. The most complicated band to sabotage is Cool Tapes, which has some really rocking sounds, but Limousine in particular doesn't like Marzipan's preachy speeches. She mentions her distaste of harming the whales, destroying wetlands, and the exploitation of women in the media. By some clever camera work, as well as a little fun with the Teen Girl Squad in the coloring book, you can convince Marzipan that Limousine has done everything she mentioned hating in her music, prompting her to create a song about how awful Limousine is, causing her to get a negative a billion points or something. Despite all that hard sabotaging, your band is still sucking the most. Looks like you're gonna have to pull out the big guns, a sick prop to end all props. However, that doesn't work. By trying to find ways to fix it, you actually bring in a lot more cool things to the stage. Homestar engaging in pyrotechnics, the King of Town slamming his guitar on the floor, a bunch of bats coming on the stage, and the King of Town eating one. Hey, even if your prop didn't do it, everyone still loved the show. Mainly the King of Town's bad eating. Still, you get enough money to fix the fun machine, allowing you to finally play Limousine's Hot Babylon Odyssey, ending with a tease for the next episode. Baddest of the bands has some extremely well hidden requirements for 100%, with achievements including musical moments and expressions of affection, and even strong bad abuse. There's also band posters and Limousine's shot glasses scattered throughout Free Country USA, so make sure you use that metal detector again. Oh, and also screeching into a microphone in random locations makes boxes appear for whatever reason. So that episode was, well, it was cool to hear all the music. I do love me some music. It was more entertaining than Homestar Runner, a lot more involved with all the other characters, but it didn't hold the same amount of charm that Strong Baddie the Free had. Plus it had a lot of convoluted parts, like bleaching bats, stealing Bubs' security system and putting it in Coach Z's office, and that's stuff to make Marzipan be disgusted by Limousine. Yeah, this is an episode you'll be stumped on for a lot of parts, and forget about getting 100% without a guide. I'll place it between the previous 2 episodes, but now it's time to get dangerous. Or should I say, Dangeresque. Episode 4 is a video game adaptation of the long-awaited film Dangeresque 3, The Criminal Projective. Though I'm pretty sure this whole game is still non-canon, so I'm not sure if this is the actual film or not. Either way, it's a very fun story to go through, having you take the role of Strong Bad playing his character Dangeresque. You're also paired up with his partner Ronaldo, played by Coach C. Any more Coach C content in this game and I think I might explode, like it's so super obvious he's my favorite character in fiction, right? I'm sure I've made that clear. Barging into Dangeresque's office is Cutesy Buttons, bringing her potted plant credenza. She's looking for a formula thingy to save the rainforests located in Strong Borneo, an iconic location for any Survivor fans. Traveling to all sorts of different locations is done excessively within Dangeresque 3, and I don't mean that in a bad way. The various ways locations are turned into film sets is really fun to see. In Strong Borneo, Ronaldo has to grab the formula out from a hole in the fence, jungle. However, the bear holding a shark jumps out as he's doing so, scaring the weak and frail man. You can easily defeat the monster, but Ronaldo unfortunately grabbed too hard. And now you've got to take it to a secret lab to get the formula fixed. In the secret lab, you meet Dr. Experimento, who's working on a rocket ship. This is also where you can play this episode's fun machine game, which is Space Circus Catastrophe, or just a space simulator as Dangeresque calls it. You'll have to gather certain items that Experimento lists off for you in order to get the formula together again. Flour from the rare stick-and-e tree, a bubbly drink, and some yellow hair. Those first 2 things are easy peasy, but the yellow hair? You're gonna need to get it from Cutesy Buttons, and unfortunately she's a bit of a person that doesn't like getting her hair cut. She'll have to distract her by putting credenza out in the quote-unquote shark pond outside the window, causing her to turn around so you can cut off a bit of her hair. Though you soon have a pencil stuck in your head, so you return credenza to the office anyhow. Now that you got all the items together, Dr. Experimento can create the formula. But oh no! Cutesy Buttons has been kidnapped by some super mysterious person that doesn't all look like Dangeresque's partner, Dangeresque 2. Now we gotta get some info out of Dime Monocle, an imprisoned evil person that you got all locked up. He gives you leads towards your nemesis, Perducci! And your father? Dangeresque's Dangeresque is probably my favorite part of the entire episode, but first let's take a look at what Perducci is up to. Instantly discovering a secret hideout, Dangeresque finds Perducci has blueprints to the secret hideout for the mastermind that kidnapped Cutesy Buttons. You'll have to trick Perducci in his messed up games of cards in order to retrieve it, which ain't all too hard, even if the rules are completely messed up as it goes on. Okay, with those blueprints out of the way, now we can head over to Venice to meet Dangeresque, who's played by none other than Sonor Cardgage. Strongbad's always wanted him to be his actual father, so you can see why he instantly took this homeless man in the role of Dangeresque. But Sonor ain't really good with acting, considering he was never even given a script or anything. So, he just says nonsense as per usual. Nevertheless, Dangeresque takes word that the old kidnapping case his dad was solving are in some catacombs, which he heads on down to. Navigating through the catacombs with mini-related puzzles and defeating a scary monster that totally isn't an unfinished CG effect leads you to find the missing kidnapping victim, who's now grown to be a beautiful woman. You head back to Venice to prove your dad that you've solved the case, which lets him now join your quest to save Cutesy Buttons, or whatever the plan was. I'm kinda lost, to be honest. You do a standoff on a building, where Dangeresque brutally dies. Then you do a car chase, a few more parts to gloss over here, puzzle solving in several countries, Sultry Buttons is there, she's like the evil sister to Cutesy Buttons, maybe, I don't know, blah blah blah, you're now in space. Turns out the guy that looked like Dangeresque 2 was actually a robot, Uzi Bazooka, and the mastermind behind all this was Craig, played by the Cheat. We don't know much about Craig. Yeah, so you throw him out of an airlock and yeah, the story had a lot of story in it. Which makes sense, it's meant to play out like a movie. Everyone's pretty peeved by all Strongbad's creative decisions for the movie, though. Worst of all is that Ronaldo's apparently just dead now. Looks like Strongbad's gonna have to jump, which is Dangeresque's catchphrase. I'm surprised I never used that once while describing the entire episode. So, yeah, there you have it. That was Dangeresque 3, the criminal projective. The requirements for 100%ing this episode is also a little strange. First, you have to point your famous nunchuck gun at every single character. You'll have to name drop several celebrities, hidden behind dialogue trees and clicking on stuff, which can be easy to miss. There's also personalized bullets and Dangeresque merchandise hidden all around. And finally, you have outtakes to find, mostly within the extended play mode. One thing of note within extended play would have to be the intro's hyper-detailed office, which you can activate by falling asleep in the office chair. All it serves is to unlock the suit jacket costume item. There's not much else you can achieve by going there. It's weird seeing Strongbad without any cell shading though. Okay, well, that episode was sure fun. The only downside is how long and convoluted the episode felt. There were a lot of unnecessary steps in it, but it's still hilarious seeing the cast poorly create a huge film within their town. I'd have to place it right below Strong Baddie the Free, as it does utilize nearly the entire cast, but just doesn't have much of the absurdist charm with it being a whole action-y story. Still above Baddest of the Bands and Homestar Runner though. But now, we're finally at the last episode of SBCG4AP, being 8-bit is enough. The fan service episode, if you will. Heck, they even say that's fan service. This episode starts right at the end of the last episode, having Strongbad jump right into his Trogdor arcade machine. That prompts it to short circuit, and will drop the hilarious interaction I was just mentioning.
It sounds like the fan's broken. You'll have to get it serviced.
Serviced? Where am I supposed to get fan service around here?
Anyways, what happens next is the arcade just turning into Trogdor somewhat. As cool as that is, you're gonna need to get that arcade cabinet fixed. I mean, it's half dragon and half machine. Making sure to bring the metal detector that you all the time use in this game, you head over to the field. Since the Trogdor cabinet is in such a punchy mood, you'll need to find someone stupid enough to distract it as you open it up and fix it. Luckily, you got Homestar Runner nearby. Turns out he'll only play arcade games if he's got his lucky quarter, which your detector finds has been swallowed up by him. And also gave him radiation poisoning for whatever reason. How many quarters does this guy swallowed in his lifetime? But once you got Trogdor distracted, and the logic board that I forgot to mention installed, things should be looking pretty good now. Except for all that broken technology you got laying around, and Homestar's radiation that's somehow plot relevant. Which causes a huge explosion, merging the video game world with the Homestar Runner world. That's right, Trogdor is now real, and he's burninating Strong Baddie. Looks like we're gonna have to put down old Troggy if we're gonna get anywhere in this episode. So you're gonna need to get the Trog sword, and make your way into Peasant's Quest to slay the dragon. But, well, there's gonna be a lot of steps before that. Peasant's Quest requires you to have the solution to this copy protection wheel, an old method of PC games to prevent theft, and you're gonna need to know Paul Revere's favorite ice cream flavor, for whatever reason. So how about checking out your house, which is now taken over by ghosts, much like Luigi's Mansion? Though this game is actually Red Coat Ghost Patrol, which is all about them old American icons, such as Paul Revere. Once you get the light musket located in a pile of crates around the field, you can shoo away the ghosts and find Paul himself, though he sadly leaves before you can ask about his ice cream preference. But hey, you know what he looks like, so at least we got that part of the wheel down. Now all you need to do is find out how to read the hidden red text. Well, there's also this game you can jump into, JLRC's Fruit Border. Think Yonoid or Cool Spot. It's one of those weird merchandise tie-in games for kids. And wouldn't you know it, JLRC is creepier up close than just in his commercials.
Sometimes, after the game shuts down, I can hear him talking to me. He tells me to do things.
Once you rig the game to hit the death screen, glitching it out and whatnot, you get to have JLRC himself pop out of the game and continue to freak you out before joining your party. Oh yeah, the coolest part of this episode is having all these video game characters join your party, able to help solve various puzzles. There's the Boxer from Snake Boxer, Limousine Space Van, the Algebros, the Poopsmith except he thinks he's Minecraft Steve, just straight up Strong Bad. You know, classic video game characters, classic. Adding party members to your team is also required for 100%ing the game, though they're all just pretty much required to even beat the game, so you'll have no problem with that achievement. Anyways, now that you've found the answer to the riddle, thanks to JLRC turning everything red so you can read it, the answer is Paul Revere was lactose intolerant, by the way, you can now enter Peasant's Quest. One problem though, Strong Sad is blocking the entrance to Trogdor's cave and keeps demanding pointless quests. I think he's some kind of wizard, even though he's clearly wearing a pink princess hat. Rather Dashing isn't even wanting to help, he's just in the mood for saving princesses at the moment. And for some reason the king of town is now a scorpion. Anywho, you're gonna need that sword, which Rather Dashing tells you is located in Stinkoman 2066, though it's region locked. Once you get Bubs rescued from Marzipan, who believes she's Donkey Kong pretty much, you can enter Stinkoman 2066. After some negotiating with the enemies, you're able to play the game and grab the sword, taking care of that problem. Now all you need is to get rid of Strong Sad. Well, you can head over to the Videlectric's Half-Athlon, which is pretty much a track with some poorly constructed obstacles in the way. Hey, Coach Z's here, and he's just his old self. Odd how he and Bubs are the only ones that are pretty much unaffected by all this. Hey, did I mention Homestar Runner being your guide in this game, all up in your HUD and giving you hints? Yeah, well he is. But anyways, here is where you can find some scorpion food, and by messing around with a checkpoint with the help of Strong Bad, you can bring it on over to Peasant's Quest to get Strong Sad in danger with the King of Town. Which means Rather Dashing can go and save a princess. Once Strong Sad's saved, now you can enter Trogdor's lair, which is also in a Wolfenstein camera setup. Then you finally get the final battle with Trogdor, which has the best graphics ever seen in any video game from now until ever. You even get to become super highly detailed. Just look at all those muscle details and those robot boots. With the help of JLRC and several burninated peasants, you can hit the weak points on Trogdor, defeating him once and for all. Or not, because swiftly after it turns out that solved nothing, and he's still running around burninating the place. Well, that was all pointless. Kinda wish it had a grander ending since, you know, this was the very last episode ever made for this game. Last thing to cover over this episode are the collectibles. As I've already mentioned, there's the party members, but you also have to burninate peasants, collect game boxes, good graphic tier cards, whatever that means, get cheat commando figures, and finally, you'll have to free all the ghosts with your camera. And it plays the creepiest sting to indicate a ghost is within shot. They really should have turned the sound down on that. But there you have it. That's Strong Bad's cool game for attractive people. I'd have to say, 8-Bit Enough is pretty creative, probably the most unique episode gameplay-wise, but not the best in terms of using the characters. I'd place it above Dangeresque 3 anyhow, as it's one I'd imagine going back to more so than Dangeresque. So, to go over how I'd rank these episodes, Homestar Ruiner's the worst by definition, since it's so simple and mainly focuses on Strong Bad and Homestar, but it's still got that Homestar humor in there. Battle of the Bands does have a lot more characters, but it's got really weak puzzles, and isn't the most creative compared to the top 3 episodes. Dangeresque 3, the criminal projective, is fun, especially all the outtakes and little details reminding you that this is an in-universe movie, though it goes on a bit too long for my liking. 8-Bit Enough is the most creative episode, taking you into several video games within the Homestar universe, and has the most fun with item interaction thanks to those party members, though it's lacking with character usage and has a less than satisfying ending. Strong Baddie of the Free is the most perfect example of a Homestar Runner video game, utilizing pretty much every character and taking a fun concept of having everyone form their own countries, though it does have a difficult ending minigame, and the Homestar Reservation is the Homestar Reservation. All in all though, as a Homestar Runner fan myself, I love this game. If you aren't a Homestar Runner fan, then duh, this game ain't for you. But if you like the show, even a tiny bit, this will scratch that itch for a full-fledged dive into the world and the characters, with all the locales you need. And so many dialogue options. Like, seriously, how did Matt Chapman do this? He voices 95% of the characters. Only Marzipan and Craig were voiced by other people, being Missy Palmer and Mike Chapman. That's a lot of dialogue for one man, huge props. There you guys have it. A review I've wanted to make for so long has finally happened. And now you all know how much I love Homestar Runner. Or maybe you don't, I'm not sure if I threw in enough references or not. Let me know what you think. I don't have an email to share, but I do have comment sections, so send me your questions and I will continue to make fun of answer them. Answer them. Yeah. It's over!
Hey Cpink, this is Boss Clips, just following it up. So I saw your DM that you wanted me to be, like, you want me to do something for the Marzipan answering machine parody at the credits of your video, and, like, I don't know, man, last time I was a platform in that SpongeBob video, and you didn't even invite me to do anything in the Billy and Mandy reviews, so I'm not sure I want to do this one. You can just leave me out. But, thank you for asking. I'm always prepared to do another video with you. Maybe a collab on, something more interesting. Like the Cat in the Hat video game. Like, if you want to do one on that, I'd be down for that. But this one, this ain't it, man. This ain't it.